Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Everyone, welcome to the show. So 51-year-old Oklahoma resident Dova Winegeart is not your run-of-the-mill January 6th convict. This woman is vile, as you're going to hear. So as Winegeart traveled to D.C. on January 6th, she posted a montage of her trip on TikTok. She was wearing a Proud Boys shirt in the video, and it was captioned, quote, "Hold on, sir. We the people are on our way." So when Winegeart reached the Capitol grounds, she headed straight to a Capitol entrance, and Winegeart peered through the windows on the doors, and then she aggressively started banging on the windows with her fist. She could see police officers inside, and so she flipped them off and she yelled, "Fuck you." Then somewhere along the way, she came into possession of a wooden pole that had these metal hooks on it. And Winegeart was seen on video. She took a step back, she pulled the pole over her shoulder, and then forcefully struck the glass window 2 times. So some of the glass broke after the first strike. And then the second time, she hit the glass with such force that the pole snapped in half. So at that point, Winegeart's husband, who had traveled with her to D.C., he comes running up the Capitol steps. He takes the pole out of her hand, and he tried to pull her away from the door. But she shoved his hands away, and then she turned around, she yelled something to the crowd, and then she walked away with her husband. So from there, Winegeart headed to the front of a police line where she was berating officers for an hour. She even tried to bribe them into abandoning their post. She offered to pay one of the officers' bills for an entire year if he walked away. Yet she said to the officers, quote, "Don't be corrupt." Yeah, this is a major cognitive dissonance right there. And there's no evidence that she even has the money to pay someone else's bills for an entire year, because according to the prosecutor, quote, "Except for a brief stint running a bakery that went bankrupt, Winegeart has been unemployed for years and relies entirely on her husband's income to support herself." So anyway, while Winegeart was harassing the police, she was heard telling another member of the mob, quote, "I wanted to storm the Capitol so bad, that's why I came here." Eventually, though, she gave up. She left the Capitol grounds. Following the Capitol attack, Winegeart deleted text messages as well as her TikTok and her Parler accounts. And after the FBI tried to interview her, she told someone that she needed to, quote, "burn my phone in the next few days." But in text messages that they found, because she failed to delete them, she sent a photo of herself bashing the window in with the pole, and Winegeart boasted that she, quote, "did shit." Also, quote, "Yes, we are mad. Yes, we want to go inside Capitol. It's our building, not the government's. We are their bosses, but get treated like dogs. I'm done with this government. It's fight time nonstop now. They asked for it." Winegeart also referred to then Vice President Mike Pence and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer as, quote unquote, "pussies," because they hid during the attack. And she encouraged people to use the Signal encrypted messaging app instead of text messages. But Winegeart continued to post on Twitter, luckily, so they still found that stuff. And she falsely claimed that January 6th was peaceful. She also went ballistic and publicly threatened witnesses, including her own husband, because he admitted to the FBI that Winegeart struck the Capitol door, as if there wasn't an abundant amount of evidence. So she repeatedly called him out, meaning her husband, on social media, and she blamed him for her illegal actions. And she threatened to tell the authorities that he encouraged her to break down the door. Her words. And she posted, quote, fuck with me, I'll fuck you too. I mean, do not think it means what you think it means. Anyway, Winegeart threatened a government witness. This is where the vile part comes in. She called out this person by name. So Winegeart has a Facebook group page that she created, and this is where she called this person out. She called this person a, quote, lying, conniving, immoral, horrible excuse for a human, and an oversized, jealous cunty, spelled with a K. Winegeart wrote that she would do everything possible to make sure that this witness was, quote unquote, held accountable. And she implied that she was going to ruin this person's life. And Winegeart said, quote, I don't want money, I want revenge. She even went as far as to taunt this witness about her loss of her 2-year-old son. So this woman lost her 2-year-old child, and Winegeart wrote to this person on social media and said, quote, I have one thing you yearn for, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed son. You are undeserving. I didn't tag you, the devil, arbitrarily. I hope you remember these words every time you visit his grave or you think of him. That takes a very sick person. And she ended the post with, quote unquote, burn in hell. So Winegeart really is the quintessential Trump supporter, isn't she? And Winegeart also threatened January 6 investigators and the prosecutors. She posted, quote, we will have all of your names very soon. And, quote, hunting the hunters. What's good for the goose, ... And as is so typical with these people, Winegeart played the victim card on right-wing podcasts. She said that she was, quote unquote, entrapped. You know, I guess they entrapped her into slamming that piece of wood into the door. And she said, you know, it was all a setup. So I guess she's admitting that she fell for the setup. You know, weak-minded people do that, I guess. So Winegeart was arrested on July 19th of 2022, and she was charged with the destruction of government property, entering restricted grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and 2 counts of physical violence. Winegeart refused a plea deal. She opted for a bench trial. And in July of 2024, the judge found Winegeart guilty of destruction of government property. That's it. This is a Trump supporter, a Trump-appointed judge, though. So anyway, Winegeart faced up to 10 years in prison and a fine. However, the prosecutor requested a sentence of only 1 year in prison, 1 year of probation, and $2,729 restitution, obviously to cover the replacement glass. Incredibly weak considering her history and obvious lack of remorse. The prosecutor wrote, quote, she has a history of breaking the law and refusing to comply with law enforcement officials. For example, Winegeart was convicted of driving under the influence and without a driver's license after she drove her vehicle into a ditch while intoxicated and refused to have her BAC taken, blood alcohol content. Winegeart has also been criminally charged with assault, causing physical injury, prostitution, obtaining property with worthless checks, simple battery, and issuing a worthless check. She also has numerous traffic offenses, including failure to obey a traffic control device, speeding, operating a vehicle with expired tags, and a red light violation. This woman is a menace. So unfortunately, U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols presided over Winegeart's case. As I mentioned, he's a Trump appointee. He's pretty much an insurrection apologist. So he sentenced Winegeart to only 4 months in prison, 1 year of probation, and a $1,000 fine. And he allowed her to self-surrender at a later date. And no surprise, she's completely stalling. So this woman may not ever spend time behind bars for this crime. I would bet money, though, she'll be back in the news. She'll be back in the news. She'll be back in handcuffs in the future, just given her history, given her obvious anger issues. So I will keep you posted. I will definitely let you know if she gets a pardon, if she ever spends time behind bars, if she has additional issues with law enforcement in the future. Again, I would bet money, but we'll see. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you possibly can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.